the BROxFire Podcast.
Well, it sounds so good because I thought of it myself.
Why don't you fuck off?
Already did. All right. Here we are, gentlemen, and maybe some ladies. Welcome to the BROxFire Podcast, Season Dos. Deuces. Season 2, guys. Welcome. My name is LJ Regine.
And I'm Will Fuller.
And we are fucking pumped to throw some more F-bombs at you that you may or may not want to hear. But you know what, Will? I think it's time.
Yeah, it's definitely time. It's time to man up.
That's right.
Cut the bullshit.
Cut it.
And just laugh, bro.
And laugh. So hopefully we can make each other laugh today. I imagine, though, we're going to be ranting and raving about a few things that we won't find that funny, but, you know.
You still got to laugh at it. You got to laugh at the simple things. But also, another thing is we're on Season 2, and it's Episode 11.
Yes.
And we still need you to subscribe.
Actually, it would be Season 2, Episode 1.
Oh, well, okay, great. So it's just Episode 11 just sounds so much more like we've made it a lot.
I don't know. Season 2 sounds like we've made it more.
I mean, we could have done 5 episodes.
Each episode could have been a season. This is Season 11.
Yeah.
Well, regardless, what were you going to say?
Regardless of what episode, what season we're on, we still need you to subscribe.
That's right.
It's the red button below here on YouTube. So please see it, click it. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, you fucking idiots. Click the red button. It's not that hard.
No, it's not hard. And honestly, we'd really appreciate you clicking it.
Well, we kind of appreciate it.
No, we really appreciate it. Really.
I keep wanting to drink this, so we might as well just talk about Down the Hatch today. You'll notice.
You'll notice it's a little different today. So we've kind of changed it up a little. It's well, again, we're on Season 2.
Season 2, Episode 1.
It's we're here a little bit early filming, and you know when we're filming early, there's something that alcohol is not always the best, but what is the best?
Totally.
Is coffee.
Coffee is
Kava.
Awesome. What?
Kava.
Oh, you saying that right?
Kava. Definitely am.
We'll get checked if you say anything wrong.
Oh yeah, trust me, I know, but I know that's Polish for coffee.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah. Will's wife is Polish,
so
that we can verify as a correct statement.
Actually, it's one where I say it all the time. Kava, like I like.
Oh, you
kava.
do?
Yeah. Would you like some?
What
kava?
is it in Italian? We should know this as Italians. But you know what? I'm sure someone's going to comment and be
I'm
like...
not going to say it because if I say it wrong,
right,
we're going to get attacked.
It's going to be, you asshole.
Yeah.
Maybe 2 comments from the same person.
I'm going to fucking Google it right now.
You should Google it.
No, well, so Down the Hatch is we're gonna actually have some coffee, and we're actually drinking Allegro coffee.
Ooh, Allegro. Okay.
You can find this at Whole Foods. They actually... they're the ones you can see it's roasted there, and you'll find it in their containers, or you can get the bags. You can get it ground coffee. It's been ground. And it's like you're always walking on eggshells with these podcasts. Like you don't know what you're saying.
We should have a segment called English with LJ and Will.
LJ and Will. What not to say?
You know what I noticed? I noticed in a lot of my workout videos, I say this movement are instead of this movement is. And I know like correct English is supposed to be this movement is the blah, blah, blah. But I keep saying this movement are the blah, blah, blah. And it's very confusing. I don't know why I keep doing that.
I think it's because you're trying so hard to pronunciate, and you're really trying so hard to get a point across. And you're also trying to sound smart.
That's right.
And so when you do that, you realize you're not smart, and you fuck up.
What are you trying to say?
I'm saying...
Well, the truth of the matter is, guys, and it's taken us 2 seasons to admit this, but we're both fucking idiots. And if you haven't realized that by now, you're probably a fucking idiot too.
And if you're wondering, if you're going, oh, Will and LJ, if I'm watching this, does this make me a fucking idiot?
Yep.
Yes, it does. Welcome. We'll create a parade of idiots, and you're actually part of it.
We should rename it. BROxFire Podcast, a parade of idiots.
Yeah. And welcome. So anyways, Allegro was actually founded in 1977.
Oh.
Yeah, it was. And one thing great about them, well, there's a bunch of things great about them, is they actually have this vision to find a better way to source high-quality coffee. They stay true even after 40 years because what matters to them is where the coffee is from, where you get the beans, the berries. Remember, if you go to Season 1, Episode 1, we actually get educated on coffee And so the berries, which then turned to the beans.
That's right. So here's a little nod to season 1, episode 1.
Yes, exactly.
Unintentional nod.
So cheers. Do we cheer? We don't cheers with coffee, do we? We're cheersing with coffee.
So let's also talk about these obnoxious mugs that we have today. Well, his is less obnoxious than mine. So these are both my mugs, and I got that as a birthday present a couple years ago, and I loved it so much that I dropped it.
I noticed that. I'm noticing I might lose the handle here.
Yeah, so the handle's actually super glued on.
Oh, doesn't even look that strong.
Well, it's worked.
All right.
And then this, my friend Steven got for me. If you don't know, it's Thor's hammer, but designed as a coffee mug. So it's not very functional because it's hard to drink out of, but it looks pretty cool.
Yeah, that's all that matters. It's the way it looks. So we're drinking a Lego coffee. It's a light roast from Colombia, Agostino Forest. And it's, if you taste it, it's bright / maple syrup citrus roast. So
it's pretty good. I like.
I always love this. This is my favorite type of coffee. It's the price is not bad, and you can find it, like I said, at Whole Foods.
Yeah,
it's great.
I just want to acknowledge Will. I've interrupted him about 15 times so far in this segment, and he's been great and just gotten right back on track. And we're just really getting better at this.
Yeah,
because we're still going to interrupt each other.
Practice makes perfect.
Try to pull the conversation somewhere else, but as long as you get back to it.
As long as you get back to it. And watch this. So, speaking of this, while we're drinking this coffee, it'd be great to know some things, segueing with the coffee cups, and some things we're going to talk about in this episode.
We got a top 3. So something that we've been doing while we're drinking is talking about our top 3. Last time we did our top 3 favorite rock movies.
Yes, which we were completely different on that.
Completely different.
And I haven't watched any of the ones that you told me about, which I do want to, though. I really do.
Thanks. Yeah. But today we're going to do our top 3 favorite superheroes. I can venture to guess, everyone can guess, our number 1 favorite superhero. I don't know. We'll have to see.
Yeah.
But we will start with number 3. And Will, who's your number 3? I have mine written on a sticky note.
No, mine's easy. I like my number 3 would be The Flash.
The Flash. I do remember you telling me about this. What do you like about The Flash?
I just like the personality that they created for him. He obviously was struck by lightning, but also I like he's like also a detective also. You're going to know his theme, like there's kind of like this detective type
so the Flash is from DC Comics.
Yep.
And I know there's a TV show, or there was a TV show on the WB. Do you watch?
I didn't like that so much. Too dramatic. The Flash in that is... Because the Flash is not wimpy. He is just very from what I've read in comics, he's more of just kind of like that annoying, talk so much, has got the ability. He's that person that has more of strength and could do more than he can imagine.
Kind of like how he's portrayed in the Justice League movie.
Yeah, that actually is pretty close. Like but that was like him in the beginning.
Yeah,
like before he really he was like, oh, this is awesome. But he knows. Once he figures out what he can do, he still has a lot more to go. He's not that cocky. He's really big on saving people and stuff like that. So.
And he can. So his power is what? It's like time travel?
He can time travel, but he's not really supposed to. He can go through walls because he can, I forgot the name of it. Shoot.
Like vibrate at the same frequency as something?
And go through walls. He can hold on to you in a bullet. It can go through you. Things like that. Yeah, these are the abilities that people don't realize the Flash has.
How does he get those abilities?
How did he get them?
Yeah.
He was in a lab, and then lightning struck, and
That's right.
So don't try that at home, though, because I promise you won't become the Flash. But yeah, so that, and he's super fast, and I love that, and I love to run, so I always thought that was so cool.
Yeah.
So that's my number 3. What's yours?
So my number 3, I'm going to jump over to Marvel for a minute, and my number 3 is Captain America.
Yeah.
Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah.
I love Cap because he's actually the first superhero that I think I really got into. And I think what I liked about him is there's something really classic and very very do the right thing about him.
Right.
That I think has always been a good message. And I don't know, kind of evoked like my grandfather in World War II and that whole time frame.
Yeah.
And I always thought that Chris Evans did a fantastic job playing him. Like I love the first Captain America movie. Thought it was really well done, really good. And yeah, it's for what? Truth, freedom, and the American way, I think is his thing. Oh yeah, and his thing. And I also love he's like always kind of the leader of the Avengers, and it's not like because he is like I'm the leader. It's just he knows how to like manage everybody's personality and be very tactical about that. And I think where there's always so many egos in the Avengers, right? You got Thor, you got Iron Man.
Yeah, and I like him because one of the things I do like about him is that with all these abilities, he's true to like what you like. He's not all about like throwing lightning. He's not all about like shooting beams and doing all these different things. He's really about just knowing your opponent, what they're going to do.
And being a fighter.
Yeah, he's like strategic, and I think that's really cool about him. So we are talking about comics.
So what's your number 2?
My number 2 obviously is Superman.
Obvious.
No, there's like I said, like I mean, he's a reporter, but he is always trying to get to. He's not like he doesn't just smash things. He's not just this big. Because he's super strong. I mean, he's obviously got more strength than I think. He's probably one of the strongest superheroes.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And one thing that I do really love about him is that there's always that point where he never goes that far. And like when you see him getting beat up in the comics or if you see him getting beat up in the movies you watch, he's not even close to being what he could. He doesn't want to hurt people. He knows his powers. He knows his abilities. And
he's another, like, similar to Captain America, like, he does the right thing.
Right, he does. And that's what I'm saying. He's almost like that, but he's got amazing powers. Like, he could literally just destroy everything. But even when there's something dangerous or someone, he still holds back. And I just think that makes him really cool.
Yeah. So I really struggled with my number 2 because, for me, Batman and Superman are, I don't know, they're always on the same level for me because I think they're kind of two halves of the same whole of DC Comics. So I'm going to go with Superman as well for my number 2.
Oh, cool. That's awesome.
Yeah. And I really feel that, this was a controversial opinion for a lot of nerds out there, but I really liked the origin of the DC universe when they had the first Superman Man of Steel movie. I liked the darker, sort of more noir style film that they made, and it kind of brought a lot of gravity to Superman. He wasn't just this like, whoa, like it tells you his origin story in a way that really humanizes him.
Right.
And I think what's the actor's name? He lives here in Fort Lauderdale.
Yeah.
Henry Cavill or Cavill. I thought that he obviously, like, first of all, super ripped. Like, looked like
he looked like Superman.
He looked like a fucking Superman.
He came out of the water.
Oh yeah,
and he's looking for like clothes. Yeah. I'm like, yeah, he's Superman.
He's Superman.
Yep, he's Superman.
And he's a phenomenal actor. I don't know if you saw. You're not into it, but the Witcher on Netflix. He's also awesome in. But yeah, I just think Superman. I second pretty much everything that Will says.
And when you're talking about the movie, I thought it was really cool because when you think about it, like when he's getting ready to fly, that's something that they really brought out that I never realized before. Like when Superman goes up in the air, there's that explosion, that sound breaking, and I thought that was like, yeah, that's what in real life, if that was what Superman would do when he takes off, step back, because he's going to explode basically, and so I thought that was cool.
So I kind of thought that Amy Adams was always a weird choice for Lois Lane because like I think she's kind of like mousy and like not that attractive, and obviously it's not all based on looks, but like he's fucking Superman, and she is like this mousy reporter. I don't know. I remember Terry Hatcher from the 90s Superman when it was like Dean Cain and Terry Hatcher. Like she was a hot Lois Lane. Like, I don't know. I think they kind of messed up on that casting, but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah. I mean, she's a good actor. But
yeah,
I just
absolutely.
feel like, didn't she have red hair?
Yeah.
And then she had red hair because Lois Lane always had black hair.
Yeah. She had like dark. She was like dark. Yeah. Dark hair.
Yeah. Okay. That was weird.
All right. So what is your number 1? Let me guess.
It's Batman.
Batman.
And the reason why it's Batman, this keeps falling. The reason why it's Batman is that everyone always says this, but I love the detective side of Batman.
Yeah.
I have always loved that part. Yeah, he can fight. He's got these crazy abilities, but he, one, is not a killer. And two, he's just one of those people that believe in the justice system. And on top of it, like I said, that detective side where he basically just can break things down, figure it out. And it's not, I honestly wish that they would create a Batman movie where they show more the detective side. They really don't do that. They do a lot of
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of how DC Detective Comics started, and that's kind of like the origin of Batman he was like a detective.
Right.
But I think what you're hitting on that I love is he's a human.
He's human. He has no powers. I mean, well, when you're rich, I mean, you have powers, but it's like secret powers. But my point is that he still is a human being. Like I always to this day, and I know I've read things about this, is that if you were to have a fight or whatever between all the superheroes, even with Superman, I believe Batman would come out on top because of his analytical side and his ability to figure out the weakness of his opponent and just take on that part. So I believe Batman is
like mentioning his mother to Superman.
Yeah.
Like in Batman versus Superman.
But I mean, he knows that there's a kryptonite, you know, and there's kryptonite that can knock you down, and he would be able to find ways to not only use that kryptonite to be able to stop him. So I always thought that was so cool that he is that person that can stop all of them.
So my number one is,
let me guess.
Drum roll, Thor.
Yeah.
And I really was never that into Thor until the movie started coming out, because I thought that Chris Hemsworth, and what I love about him, and he brings this like lightness to Thor, and that's kind of like one of the things that I love about Thor being such a badass. He's this god. He has these awesome, incredible powers. He can kill you if he wants to, but he's got a great sense of humor and a lightness to him that he doesn't take it all that seriously. And I've always kind of identified with that. I always like the happy warrior sort of archetype. And I'm super into Norse mythology and pagan stuff. And Thor as a god is super like incredible. He really represents like the protector of the human and the modern man, or the common man. And I just really love that. And like I said, like the movies like Thor Ragnarok, that movie is so funny. It's so ridiculous. It's so unlike any of the other Marvel films, but Chris Hemsworth is just hilarious and just nails it. And just love that character.
And I agree. I think that's, he does an amazing job on Thor. Even before like these Avengers came out, before Thor with him came out, there was always cartoon comics, and I was just like, nobody's ever going to be able to play this guy. And
bring him to life as a human, because he's this god, you know?
And I've read that when he like walked into the casting, it was almost like, it was just the same way like with Tony Stark with
Robert Downey Jr.
Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah.
They were basically like,
that's Thor.
That's Thor.
Yeah.
You know, like everyone else outside just waiting. They're like, you can go home now. We found Thor. They're like, so that's
awesome.
So that's our top three.
Those are our top three. Okay, so we like to do a toast, and even though we're drinking coffee, it's weird to toast, but like we can still toast our coffee.
Yeah, we can toast it. Usually you can have toast with your coffee.
Yeah.
Ooh, you like that?
Yes. Our toast today is actually for a female. Last couple times it's been for a guy, but today we decided that we wanted to give our toast to somebody who has worked very, very hard over the past months or years, or last year, in fact, to become a healthy, fit person. And I applaud this person. Who am I talking about, Will?
Adele.
I
love her. She's got an amazing voice. I love how she comes out with music, where she's not like just pumping out CDs. She'll pump out one, go away for a while to literally write her music, to find her music.
Her inspiration, yeah.
And so when she comes out with it, you feel it, even if you're not going through the shit that she's going. Like when you listen to her first track, you're just like, man, she's going through hell.
Yeah, she has a lot of soul in her voice. Like you really feel it. And she's one of the best-selling female artists of all time. And she had been known as being heavyset. So she released a picture on Instagram a couple weeks ago, maybe a week ago.
Yeah.
And it caused a huge uproar. And it was something that I think, as someone who's in the fitness industry, I felt very passionate about, because there were a lot of people that were actually knocking Adele, and women that were knocking Adele. There was one article that I believe said something to the effect of, why Adele's transformation makes me feel bad about myself. And it's like, okay, Adele showed discipline. She showed that she cared about her health. She showed that she wanted to live her life for longevity. She's an amazingly rich person, probably could be fat and, whatever forever and, have machines, but she decided, like, machines keep her alive, but she decided that she wanted a different life for herself. And that should only be applauded. There is nothing that you should detract or take away from her. If you are, it's because you've got a problem with you, not with Adele.
So with this topic, it really actually pisses me off deep down inside and outside, because I'm gonna vocalize it. And one of the things that really bothers me is that why would you, no matter who you are, no matter what you're going through, bash another human being for taking care of their health? There's diabetes.
100%.
You can get heart attacks. There's just bad circulation, just so much. And now we got this COVID-19. I know we'll go into that more later. But my thing is like, there are so many reasons to be healthy. She is not, I would not say she's Miss America in these pictures. I wouldn't say that she is going to be somebody that's going to be competing.
Like a classically beautiful, like a classic beauty queen, pageant winner.
She's not, she didn't look like she was going to be able to compete for from some CrossFit competition or whatever. She just lost weight. She just saw that she wanted to be healthier. And that's the case. When somebody loses weight, they want to be healthier. And for us not to applaud that, for us not to say, wow, she took something upon herself, which, honestly, I mean, I'm doing. I'm focusing on a 30-day challenge that I'm working with you on. But my point is that if I get more muscle and lose weight, people are going to bash me because I'm going to make you feel bad.
Fuck that.
Tough shit.
Yeah.
If you feel bad about it, then put down the crappy food that you're eating and look in the mirror and figure out a way to lose weight. Don't shit on somebody who's taking care of themselves and their life. Hey, she's got a great life ahead of her. Who knows? How do you know what her doctor's saying to her? Like, hey, listen, you're going to need to focus on your health. And so
because you're going to have issues. Yeah. And one of the pre-existing conditions that has been adversely affected during COVID is obesity. So what do you even mean that this is a problem? There's a huge issue that has come in the past couple of years, and it's this whole body positive issue that is primarily promoted and targeted towards women, by women. And it's basically like, love your curves. And listen, women, I think, are beautiful when they're curvaceous. But there's a difference between being a beautifully curvy woman and being obese or overweight. And
she wasn't over obese or overweight.
She was.
But she was overweight, not obese.
By the scientific definition of obese, she would have been in that category.
Okay, all right. Well, I didn't know that. But here's the other thing. If she wants to lose weight, when we're talking about being curves and having curves, if you have curves and you're happy with it, if you're obese and you're happy with it, God bless you. Okay, you're fine. That's fine. You can have it. But don't bash another human being because you don't have that motivation, because it does take work to lose it.
Yeah, and this is where I'm going to disagree with you. I don't think you should be okay with that. I think if you're obese and you're unhealthy and you're shoving bad food into your mouth and just not taking care of yourself, I think that's disgusting. Okay. And I think that you should take your life more seriously than you are, because you're worth a lot as a human being, and it shows that you don't care all that much about yourself if that's how you're treating yourself. Right. So that's my opinion.
And that's a toast to Adele for really for doing this, and I can't applaud her more. I can't wait for her next CD to come out, and I will definitely buy it and listen to it. And hopefully she bashes all those haters in the song, basically saying, fuck you for hating me and I'm skinny and I look good. So I hope that's one of her songs. And I will crank it while I drive down the street.
So we're going to segue into GoPro Bro and talk a little bit about today, something that's similar with Adele. We're talking about what is the ideal man and what are ideals to begin with? When you think of something and you're like, this is my ideal, what does that even mean? Because what Adele did is she is reaching towards her more ideal self. And I think it's important to note that we'll probably never be able to reach our ideals.
Right.
It's just not possible because there's always going to be somebody or something that you're going to strive towards being more excellent. And having those goals is really important to have.
And I agree. So when you have those goals, and I believe that when companies, and let's talk about that, not just within South, there's companies, there's businesses, that strive to be better, not best. Because if you strive to be the best and you get there, okay, then you've hit it, you're number one. But if you strive to be better, you're always working harder, and you're never going to accomplish it, which is not a bad thing.
Right.
And I think that when you when you go for that, I think that's important. So always strive to be the better
because
whatever.
That's growth. You're continually growing as a person, as an individual. And, to kind of circle back to what we were talking about with superheroes earlier, this topic came up for me because there was a recent article from Will's favorite magazine, GQ.
Yeah,
if you haven't watched his SoFlo Style Guy podcast, listen to his SoFlo Style Guy podcast, take a listen. It's hilarious. He talks about GQ magazine. But Robert Pattinson, who is going to be playing Batman, was recently interviewed. And here's what he had to say. Or here's what the article says. The film studio hired a trainer who left Pattinson with a Bosu ball, a single weight, and a sincere plea to use both in quarantine, but right now he says he's ignoring her. Quote, I think if you're working out all the time, you're part of the problem. End quote. He says, sighing. By you, he means other actors. Quote, you set a precedent. No one was doing this back in the 70s, even James Dean. He wasn't exactly ripped. End quote. He says that back then, when he was the star of the Twilight franchise, quote, the one time they told me to take my shirt off, I think they told me to put it back on again. But Batman is Batman. Pattinson called another actor on the film, Zoe Kravitz, the other day, and she said, high five to Zoe, she was exercising 5 days a week during her exile from the set. Pattinson said, well, quote, literally, I'm just barely doing anything, quote, end quote. He says, sighing again. So he's gotten a lot of backlash.
I hope they just get rid of him as Batman.
Rightfully so.
I just want to
because, so first of all, he's framing working out as part of the problem. So that's not anybody adding their own personal opinion on what he's saying. He framed it by saying if you're working out all the time, and he's saying this to other actors, you're part of the problem, right? He seems to be implying that Hollywood participates in body shaming towards, and in this case specifically, I think he means towards men. Now, we can get into and unpack the whole issue like we were talking about earlier of body shaming and body positivity towards women, but let's start with a couple premises here.
Right, yeah.
Men are very different from women.
Right.
Can we agree?
Yeah.
That is
100%.
Two different things. Okay. Yeah. As a man, I think what he's not considering is that he is about to step into a role that men have considered for a very long time an ideal. We were talking a little bit about ideals earlier, right? And an ideal being, what is the modern man supposed to strive to be? And we talked a little bit about this earlier, but Batman is somebody that every guy that I know would want to be like. Right. He is rich. He is super smart.
Yeah.
He is a detective, so he's obviously very strategic and intelligent. Right. And he's ripped. So these are all things that men should strive for. This is something since the beginning of time. Men have always had heroes.
Right.
We have always looked up to other great men who were fighters and warriors. And I think that we live in this world now where I think Robert Pattinson is inhabiting this idea of the nerd or the intellectual, and he's trying to bring that spin to Batman, which I understand. And it made me think about how right now, Will, we live in this world where our ruling elites, like if you look at Bill Gates, any of these guys that consider themselves really high and mighty and superior and want to like change the world and consider themselves part of this kind of ruling class, they're all these super fucking smart nerds who probably have not worked out a day in their lives. And I think that there's a lot of guys that I'm just going to say right there, beta males, who identify with that because they're nerdy, they're book smart, maybe they're more introverted, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I think for men, it's always been important, at least historically, to be both super fucking brilliant, but also have an incredible athletic body. And I think that there's always been this dichotomy between the nerd and the jock.
But Batman isn't the jock.
Right. And Batman, well, he represents, I think, elements of both, right? He represents like a kick-ass, badass fighter.
But I have to disagree, though, because he started off in a way as a, he's looked at even when he's out and about.
Right.
When he's Bruce Wayne, right?
Yep.
Let's talk about Bruce Wayne, because at the end of the day, we're talking about Batman when he's dressed up. If you look at Bruce Wayne,
Playboy.
He's looked at the Playboy, but the guy that people are like, he has to pretend like, oh, I got to get down, or oh, I'm scared, or oh, I get knocked over. He plays that weak character, but deep down inside, you're like, dude, he could have totally kicked this guy's ass. And my point is that there is a side of him that makes him. This is why I think it just really bothers me that this guy Patton is doing this, because at the same time, Bill Gates and all these other people that you talk about, they're very smart, but they don't have that ethic, the work ethic to be stronger, to want to be stronger. And I just think that example that he's setting is that not to have a nice body, not to be stronger, not to represent that. I just feel like, again, it's really going off the rails. You're Batman.
You're Batman, and I think that, if we're looking at a Bill Gates type person, like, there is so many facets, I think, to being an ideal man. And I believe that you should be able to be super, super smart, intelligent, resourceful, but you should also know the strength and power of your body. And why is that? Because historically, from the beginning of time, men, our roles in society have always been to protect the perimeter, protect our family, and protect those that are weaker. Our bodies are literally made to be fighting machines. That's why we can put so much muscle mass on our body. For whatever reason, genetics designed us to be able to be nimble, fast, and strong. Our role has always been to protect and provide.
Right.
And I don't know if you feel this way, but when you're maybe with your wife and you're in a crowded room, you want to feel like, okay, if something is about to go down for whatever reason, I got this, and I'm going to protect my wife or whoever I'm with. And because you're a strong guy and you work out, you're fit, you're fast, you probably handle yourself in this situation, right?
Right. Yeah, it depends on the situation. But yeah, I'd like to be able to think that and that's the other thing, I want to like to be able to think that I could.
Exactly. And I think that's something, again, that men strive towards. And that's just something that's in our DNA. So for Pattinson to kind of take Batman, who is a character that means so much to so many people. We don't have a lot of heroes these days. Like I said, who are we looking up to? Bill Gates? Yes, you're brilliant, you're smart, but you want to put a vaccine in everybody? Fuck off, right? We superheroes, I think, were created by men and exist for a reason because there's something that we want to strive towards. So to kind of take that and kind of deconstruct, in my mind, what it represents, how Batman represents an ideal man, and take away his physical strength, his prowess, one of the things that makes him a man, I think, is absolutely disgusting. And that's how I feel.
No, and
there's my tome and my whole sort of speech on that.
Okay, no, but and I get it, and I just feel like I really just think it comes down to laziness because he's sighing.
He looks like a little depressed, like in the pictures too. I don't know if you saw them in GQ.
I know, I wouldn't read it.
He's like sitting like this, like all moody and depressed and wayfish, and just kind of like, all right, roll over,
and then that's the thing. And if people like that, good for you. But for me, I need somebody who's going to put the work in. Again, like when you think about it from the standpoint of like everyday life. Mm-hmm. When you want to compare yourself, and people say, oh, you use Batman, he's a fictional character. Exactly, he's fictional, but at the same time,
he's an ideal. He doesn't need to be real.
He doesn't need to be, and that's what you're saying. At the same time, there's just other things. It's about, I always look up to, hold on, I just lost his name. He played Green Lantern. And
Ryan Reynolds.
Ryan Reynolds, thank you. So Ryan Reynolds was the prime example. He was playing in this Blade movie. And I read an article, which was on the real good GQ, and GQ was good. He wrote an article about how freaking hard it was to get into the shape that he was in. But at the same time, he's never felt better, looked better. He actually felt like he could really fight until he had a jokingly fight with Wesley Snipes and then realized.
Yeah, but I'm sure he went through some level of fight training, and probably learned a discipline.
Yeah, but at the same time, what I was saying is that reading all this stuff that he had to go through to be there, to be what he looked like, he wasn't lying. He was like, I didn't just wake up and have these 6-pack abs and this nice chest. He's like, but it took a lot of work. And when I read that, I was like, wow, these guys, this is a craft. Yeah. And they're not putting in that work, and that's the other side of it. Let's put away the fact that he's being Batman. It's the fact that he's just being like, I don't even want to work, and I don't like people like that. Sorry, talking my hands. I don't like people who are just like, they want things to come easy. He wants to be Batman, but he doesn't want to put in the work to get to be that look, the physique that he needs to have.
I think that men we have always wanted to put ourselves through trial by fire. And I think the more that we test ourselves, the more that we challenge ourselves, and I think that's what Ryan Reynolds is saying, right? He's sitting here, he's saying like, listen, like the fact that I was able to challenge myself and try these things and conquer certain demons, I'm obviously like spitting his words a little bit, but that's what we do. We're like, when I go to the gym and I pick up my bar and I'm about to deadlift and I've got a really heavy weight, I'm conquering a demon in a way. I'm challenging myself to be like stronger than I think I can be.
Right.
And it's not just about showing off. It's about how can I push myself to the next level. And I think Robert Pattinson is taking this away. So I have 2 more points. I want to leave it with a quote from Socrates, one of our greatest philosophers. You probably will never be smarter than Socrates. And one of his quotes that he has said is, "No man has the right to be an amateur in the matter of physical training. It is a shame for a man to grow old without seeing the beauty and strength of which his body is capable." So he's always kind of taken this idea of what it means to be a man and tied it with being physical as well as being a philosopher. So my point here is that we need to reject these modern figures like a Robert Pattinson who has a lot of media power, or even a Bill Gates, to rewrite what it means to be a man. And they're trying to change it these days, trying not to offend anybody, trying to make sure all the little beta males who are sitting behind their computer, jerking off, looking at porn, and playing video games. I'm sorry, like, you are wasting your time and you're wasting your life, and you should be pushing yourself to be a better human being. And we're kind of letting these media figures say, it's okay, be lazy, be who you are. And I reject that idea from every fiber of my being. And that is my GoPro, bro.
And I want to be able to end it with this, because I feel that it's important for me to talk about this just real quickly.
Yeah.
As you know about my accident that I was in.
100%.
And one of the things that I really...
And go back and watch episode...
I don't remember the episode.
7 or 8.
7 or 8. Actually, watch them all. And you'll get to this. I was in a bad accident. Not going to go through all that. But the mentality that I needed to get through what I went through was not what Robert Pattinson is saying. You need to be strong. You cannot think about what other people are doing. I would look at people who got injured, people who work hard for that role, to put in that effort. I needed people like that. I needed people like that to be my hero, because I needed that to take myself to that next step. Yeah, I could read about people who got injured and moved on, but just hearing about how a guy who's skinny got to be stronger would make me feel good, because knowing that I can do it. So when he's like, it's really not a good message to send, I'm going to have to say this, fuck you, it's not. Because I need that message, and a lot of people out there who are weak, who are weak in different ways, need that message, especially people who watch Twilight, love him, and probably are the nerds sitting behind the computer. They need to have him rise to that next level so they know they can do it. Because they're now saying, oh, I guess we can't do it because Robert Pattinson's saying we shouldn't do it, and blah, blah, blah. This is the worst message to send to people.
I agree.
Yeah, it doesn't mean you have to be a jock. It doesn't mean you have to be, all these things.
And isn't it crazy, this world we live in, where Adele's getting shit on for
I don't agree with
losing
where we're
all this
at,
weight, and then Robert Pattinson
is being praised
and sending out a message like, no, be mediocre, be average.
Yeah, and I can't agree with that. So my point is that if you want to be mediocre and average, well, excuse me, get out of my way, because I'm going to pass you when I want to be great. So that's what I want to say.
And speaking of being mediocre and average, I know a lot of you idiots out there, since we called ourselves idiots and called you idiots, have no clue how to dress, have no clue what looks good on you, and have no clue what you should be wearing for occasions. And luckily, you've got the SoFlo style guy here
Yes, you
to
do.
give you a little bit of tips. And today I believe we're focusing on t-shirts.
Yeah, t-shirts, and
Cool.
it's actually there's actually a lot of there's a correlation between what we're talking about being fit and these outfits. So
Ooh.
questions that I get asked a lot is about, and there's a new style coming out, and it's about the tees. You'll see a lot of people rocking like t-shirts like I'm rocking right now with a suit jacket, and people are like, hey, can I wear that with a suit, like suit pants? And the answer is yes. And there's so many different tees out there. Tees are making a comeback, and this is great because it allows you to be comfortable more than the button-up. Obviously, when you're going to work, you have to abide by your dress code.
Yeah, but who doesn't want to be in a tee, right? They're
Right.
so comfortable.
And they're super comfortable, and they make them a lot different. Now, I'll talk about some really comfortable tees out there. There's some really startup companies. You don't have to go for these expensive tees out there. You can go for these startup companies that are really making some tees that are wrinkle-free, which are great, and also stretch, which is awesome. But
I love supporting startup clothing companies.
yeah, I definitely wink, wink. You'll see probably in another episode. But one of the things that there's 3 different types of tees that I wanted to talk about. There's the V-neck, obviously, it's like a V.
Got it.
The deep V, I think, is always the better one.
Can you explain what the deep V is?
Yeah, so a V-neck is just basically a regular shirt just with a V collar, and it'll come up to the collarbone.
Okay.
The deeper V is going to show a little bit more of the chest.
Of like kind of like your chest muscles.
Yeah.
So you can see a little bit of indentation.
And then there's the extreme deep V, and that gets just a little. That's not
It's
one.
very gay.
It's that's what you want to say. Yeah.
Yes.
It goes very far down. It almost goes to the clavicle. It's really.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, and it's a little awkward, so just stay away from that one, especially if you're going to want to rock it with a suit or whatever.
So a nice medium V.
The medium V, and that's the best one, and you'll be able to have.
However, if you are wearing the medium V, isn't there kind of a requirement?
Yeah, shave your chest.
And also,
Have pecs. Yeah, we'll get to that.
okay.
Don't jump ahead. So
I'm sorry.
that's one of the things that you're going to have. Actually, there's a correlation to, like I said, the fitness set. Then you have the scoop neck. And when people see scoop, they think of their women with the, those scoop shirts. So they have it's basically a wide. And it's exactly that for a man. It's just a t-shirt with an oval shape. And it will actually go from basically almost close to shoulder. It's a wider look.
Okay, and we're going to have an image.
We're going to have an image of
Yeah.
that. I'm actually wearing one on my IG page of a scoop neck.
Ooh.
And I
So
feel like I
style
rocked
guy.
it. I got a lot of likes on that. I got a couple of people with a fire picture.
I can't envision it right now.
Yeah.
It's not just like the regular t-shirt.
No, it's a wider oval. So there's a circle, and it's a little bit closer to the neck, which is called the regular, and that's the next one I was talking about.
Got it.
But the scoop is more of like, it's just this oval shape that goes around. And
Is
you'll
it
see
kind of
the
like the Kanye West style, like with his long...
Yeah, but that's the long one.
Okay.
And that's just something I don't recommend.
Yeah.
Anything is with that is but the neck.
Yeah.
And those are you'll see those, and those are great with the suit jacket, and it also looks great with when you're just walking around with shorts. Summertime's coming, you can rock those. Any color. That's one thing I want to explain. You can you can buy any color, bright, anything. Because the tee is a t-shirt and there's not a lot of print on them, plain tees. If you have a flashy color, you wear something solid, like a solid suit jacket, it's really going to calm it down, and it's going to look amazing.
Would you recommend that when you find the perfect fit t-shirt for your body and your body type, would you recommend buy a bunch of different colors in
Yes.
that same shirt?
I recommend buying 2 of each color. Because the t-shirt you're going to want to wear more and to have multiple options. So, I mean, again, you'll know the colors that you like to wear.
Right.
For me, I like pink, white, black, gray, and a blue. And so I would try to get multiple, but I would try to get a scoop neck if they have it, a scoop neck in the gray, and then I would try to get a V-neck. I'm not a really regular collar person, but I would try to get multiple shirts with multiple neck styles.
Cool.
And that's what I would recommend for you. And they're just clean, fresh tees. And one thing that I want people to understand, and like this is what I was saying to you before, if you have man boobs, if you have a beer belly, or if you have a muffin top or anything like that, wearing a tee is going to overemphasize these things. Now you might say, because you'll see on these pictures and these that we're putting up, even the picture of myself, you're going to notice that they look really good. When you buy it, if you're not in that shape, it's not going to look that great because it's going to overemphasize your flaws. And people are going to be like, oh, wow. But if you really want to pull this off, you're going to have to cut back. You're going to have to eat right. and then you'll be able to see the benefits to these shirts, and they're going to look great. That's just the honest thing. So when we're talking about the V-neck, yeah, working out on your pecs, working out on your chest. I've worked out here. I've never had the neck that I have now and the top part of my chest like I've never had it before, and it looks great. And I wore the scoop neck, which I haven't worn since I bought it. It was a great idea. I bought it when I was in Europe. I'm like, I want to rock this. I put it on, and it was like a sad story. Now I put it on, and I'm like, damn, my shoulders are showing, top of my chest. I still got a long way to go, but the top of my chest is showing. And I was able to rock that picture.
Just like women will buy certain dress styles and outfits that accentuate their figure.
Right.
Like what you're basically saying is, these T-shirts are going to accentuate your figure.
Right.
So you gotta look like the figure you want to look like.
And walk into any retail store, look at any model, and they're all in shape. Now, doesn't mean, I'm not saying you have to have a six-pack abs and all this stuff, but you can't be overweight and feel like this is going to look like you do. Now, if you're comfortable rocking whatever, fine. But if you're trying to look at this image and you want to look and have that style, you're going to want to have to change the way you
And no one's asking you to look like an action figure. And that's not what I was saying earlier even.
Right.
Like, you don't need to look like perfectly like proportioned with, whatever, and
sometimes it's genetic. Sometimes it's genetic too.
Well, yeah, yes. You got to make the best of what you've got to work, of your palette, to work with. And so what you're saying is if you get these shirts, it's not the shirt's problem if you're in the dressing room
exactly,
and you're like, oh, this shirt sucks. No, bro. Like, you kind of suck.
Yeah, that's it. No, it's just, it's like, and that's what you have to, and I've always blamed it on the outfit. And then I just realized, like, no, it's me. Because now that I've tried to and worked hard and did these things, I've noticed the improvements. And I'm like, wow, it is totally me. And I took a photo shoot for SoFlo Style Guy, and there was this outfit people loved. But I noticed some things that I didn't like, and I was like, okay, for me to look the way I want to, I can do it. I just need to cut back on what I'm eating, figure these things out. And it's kind of a twofold thing. So you can look good, but if you want to look really good and you want to rock these outfits that you're seeing and you want to show off that style, because let's be honest, when you walk in, I have this new thing coming out for my next podcast for SoFlo Style Guy. I talk about style and walking in a room. And I'm telling you, for you to be able to do that, you're going to have to feel good and look good. And it's just a combination.
And like I've seen guys that are not super fit and are kind of overweight, and they have like really eccentric style. And you see them at events and you're like, you look like a fucking, I don't know, like a sprinkles on a cupcake. You look so ridiculous, right? But I imagine if that same gentleman were really fit and had that bold style that he has, he would probably look awesome.
I think of overweight, and this is how I feel, and I've always been this way. And if you're offended by this, I don't give a shit. I feel overweight looks sloppy.
Sloppy.
And it doesn't mean I'm not. And again, we have to. Again, six pack. It's hard. I get it. Trust me, I get it. But there's a difference between beer belly, fat, I don't give a shit, because that's sloppy, to I'm working, I'm eating right, I'm
athletic.
I'm eating healthy. I go for a jog. I take care of myself. That's not sloppy, and you'll look good. So there is a difference. If you want to go to the extreme, great. But if you just want to be healthy, you shouldn't be worried about that. You should actually be like, I want to take care of my body. So
I totally agree, Will. And we're going to link, obviously, both of our Instagrams. I'm at The Modern Thor. He's at SoFlo Style Guy.
I think you put him like right here.
Right here. And you can check out more of Will's looks. And I'm just really pumped because he has done such an amazing job with his personal style and guiding others to find theirs. Okay. Well, thank you, Will.
No problem.
Before we say goodbye, we have one more thing to talk about, which is the bro, really?
Really, bro?
Really?
Brah?
And last couple of times that we've done this, it's been like a really funny article. But today I wanted to talk about something slightly different that I was kind of scratching my head as to why aren't more people talking about this? So you may not know this, but on April 27th, the U.S. Department of Defense issued a public statement authorizing the release of 3 UFO videos taken by U.S. Navy pilots. The footage appears to depict airborne heat-emitting objects with no visible wings, fuselage, or exhaust, performing aerodynamically in ways that no known aircraft can achieve. The DoD, Department of Defense, doesn't use the terms unidentified flying object or UFO, but does clearly state the aerial phenomena observed in the videos remain characterized as unidentified. Thoughts about what UFOs vary widely, from illusions to alien spacecraft. However, a workable conservative definition is intelligently controlled airborne objects not apparently made by humans. So basically, we've got the Navy and the DoD basically saying, we don't know what these objects are. There are no known, aircraft. There don't appear to be anything made by humans. So they're kind of saying, these might be UFOs. These might be from aliens. Who knows? And it kind of landed with a thud. No one really cared. And I thought that was funny, and maybe we've all come so far that we're like, yeah, that makes sense. There's probably intelligent life out there, and it doesn't surprise us.
Right.
But I remember a long time ago, there used to be this big debate about, like, are aliens real? Are aliens not real? And I think maybe people have just all agreed, yeah, makes sense.
I mean, my opinion on this is, first of all, it's an unidentified flying object, meaning they haven't figured it out. Right. So they don't know what it is. It could be what the heck is this thing?
A drone?
A drone, thank you. It could be something out in the air. It could be somebody in their plane that they made or whatever, somebody in a helicopter. I don't know. We weren't able to identify
Yeah,
it.
but they're saying it doesn't perform aerodynamically like any sort of aircraft would. So they're basically saying, like, this doesn't move in the way that a human machine would move.
Right. So there might be somebody doing testings or whatever. However, the
Sure.
other thing that I also want to say is why it fell with a thud is because, with everything going on, everyone keeps over-exaggerating stuff in the media, right? So the media continuously says things, blah. They just puke out just different shit that we're like, that doesn't even make any sense. To the point where this came out and it's like everyone's probably looking at it. Because I know I saw this article. Like, you tried to sneak this up on me and say, hey, listen, don't read this. I'm like, I already read this. Yeah. And the thing is like, for me, I just read it. And I'm just like, the media is just trying to scare the shit out of people. I know that the Navy probably said, we don't know what this object is in the air. And then all of a sudden, the media's like, oh, it's
UFOs.
a UFO and blah, blah, blah. And started adding stuff in.
Yeah.
I just think that people are just so tired of what the media says. If there was an interview where a person was talking from the military, which I know won't happen, but if they were to say, we don't know what this is, then people would be like, oh shit, hold on, coronavirus, step aside. What? But
so you feel like a lot of this is just like another like media hype story.
yeah, I just feel like the media tried to hype it. It didn't work. So they're just like, nah.
Yeah.
And, and that's just my feeling about it. And I feel like people do care and wonder about, outer space and all that type of stuff.
Yeah, sure.
It's just more about, for me, I just think that the media has just lost so much. There's so much respect lost.
So much credibility, I think, not only in the Trump years with all of the crazy stories and just the inaccuracies, but especially in the COVID era where
it's just you don't know what to believe.
They've been wrong pretty much about fucking everything.
Right. And so that's how I take it.
Yeah.
So it's not even really like, bro, really to the person it's really to the media. Like, bro, really? Is this really happening? Because we don't believe you. That's why.
Can you imagine like being the president of the United States and they ask you a question and you're like, bro, really?
I would love I would love that.
Well, now it's time to say goodbye.
Yeah, we're still saying it that way. We're not going to sing you a jingle.
I'm saying it that way.
Just don't.
And I say it because Will doesn't like it.
Yeah. It just does remind me of a cartoon. Don't forget to subscribe on YouTube, like we said before. Click the red button. Click it. You see it.
Click it. Subscribe, idiots.
Subscribe, please. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Instagram for BROxFire. Also, SoFlo Style Guy and Modern Thor.
The Modern Thor.
Yeah.
And remember, guys, it is time to man up.
Cut the bullshit.
And just laugh, bro.
Bruh, just laugh. It's good to laugh. It's good to enjoy it. And awesome. Thank you for joining us.
We'll see you next time.
See you next time.